Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, this is the book about the creed of Islamic monotheism, Aqida Tawhid, and it is by Dr. Salih Fawzan. It has been translated. The kiddos are playing. Hubby's in the kitchen making some guacamole for today's appetizers. He makes it really well, and so I have some time to read some out. And it's summer vacation. My kid left some Legos here, so forgive me while I move those real quick. I thought they weren't. Look at this. Little Legos. I thought they wouldn't be as in the way, but they kind of are. But this is the kid table after all. So let us begin. Okay. We're in 2.2, section 3, about making laws. Let's continue upon that path. This book is very educational, especially for reverts, and I have learned quite a lot from it, and so I would recommend that you buy it. Let us continue. Lawmaking is the prerogative of Allah, the Most High. What is intended by law making is that Allah sends down for his slaves the methodology upon which they shall base their beliefs, their interactions, and so on. Amongst this is legislating the lawfulness and unlawfulness of a thing. So here we have the Sharia, essentially, is what I think he's getting at, is we'll learn the methods of what's allowed, what's not, and what we're supposed to base our beliefs on, what we're supposed to interact with, and that will help us to be rightly guided. No one has the right to make lawful except that which Allah has made lawful, or make unlawful except that which Allah has made unlawful. Allah, the Most High, said, quote, "And say not concerning that which your tongue put forth falsely, this is lawful and this is forbidden, so as to invent lies against Allah." Quran 16:116. So we see he gave us some Quran ayats to back up what it is that he's saying to us. Now, the unlawful and lawful, halal and haram, the Sharia, is definitely a branch that we all have to learn. Can seem monumental at times, but the more we learn, the better we grow, and I think that is quite helpful for many of us. Also, Allah the Most High said, quote, "Say, O Muhammad, peace be upon you, to those polytheists, tell me, what provision has Allah sent down to you? And you have made of it lawful and unlawful. Say, O Muhammad, peace be upon you, has Allah permitted you to do so? Or do you invent a lie against Allah?" Quran 10:59. So we have Quran 16, Quran 10, about what is lawful and what is forbidden, and that each one mentions lies against Allah. So we have to be very mindful of that. Allah has prohibited making something lawful or unlawful without evidence from the Quran and Sunnah. So here, when we say something haram, we have to examine it in terms of what has been revealed to us with the Quran and Sunnah. With the Sunnah, that's the hadiths, the prophetic narrations, and the seerah. So we take as much as we can from that and try to figure out what it is that's going on. And there's people who dedicate their lives to that. And so it is very serious, and we shouldn't take it as something on a whim that we can do. And he informed that such is tantamount to inventing lies against Allah. He also informed that whosoever makes anything lawful or unlawful without evidence from the Quran and Sunnah has set himself up as a partner to Allah. regarding a matter that is his sole prerogative, which is legislation. So notice this. You need to have evidence. For example, one of the most recent ones I saw, like we got hadiths that talk about the wig makers, how that type, wearing it, all that good stuff is not permitted, right? So when you have fake eyelashes being discussed, people would take from the hadith that you cannot wear fake eyelashes, was usually the consensus. Eyelashes are hair. Fake eyelashes are an extension of the hair. The difference is, instead of being on your head, it's right over here on your eyelashes. Because you're adding fake hair to it, just like if you were adding fake hair to your head. So, the dimension is smaller, and the place is different, but you're still adding hair and giving it a fake look. So that was a very interesting one for people to discuss, even though it made a lot of women quite angry. I mean, they wanted to have a very specific thing that said, tell me where fake eyelashes are forbidden. So you have to just use logic and reasoning and deduction to look at what is halal, what is haram. Now, the partner aspect, that if you do it without evidence, you're setting yourself up as a partner to Allah. You better be mindful of that as well. Pretty serious thing to do that, isn't it? So he lays it out for us there. He has a Quran ayat here for us. Or have they partners with Allah, false God, who have instituted for them a religion which Allah has not allowed? Quran 26:21. So here, instituted for them a religion which Allah has not allowed. Instituted, so laying down law. And if you're laying down a law without evidence from the Quran and Sunnah, you have been led astray. So whoever obeys the one making laws besides Allah, while being aware and agrees with his action, has associated a partner with Allah. Allah the Most High said, and if you obey them by making al-matata, the dead animal, legal by eating of it, then you will indeed be a mushrikun, polytheists, because they, the devils and their friends, made lawful to you to eat that which Allah has made unlawful to eat. And you obeyed them by considering it lawful to eat, and by doing so, worshipped them. And to worship others besides Allah is polytheism. Quran 6:121. Now, lawfulness of something to eat. This really makes me examine how there are some people who are trying to make eating meat haram. The vegans specifically. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed us to have leathers, furs, has allowed us to hunt, allowed us to enjoy the sea creatures, the fowl, right, bird fowl. And so we must be mindful of people who are trying to push insects on us, and those who want us to eat lab-grown meat, because they're doing earth worship, whereas we have the right to eat meat, and we need to thank Allah for that, because it's delicious and nutritious, and we can help the animals have better living conditions and whatnot, but we are still going to be allowed to eat meat, because we cannot allow them to make haram that which Allah has made halal. If someone's doing a crash diet and they want to lose a couple 10 pounds, alright, but you cannot lecture people on why they can't eat meat, because Allah has made it for us. This means that whoever obeys those who make dead animals lawful. So, I think this also hints to the way in which the animal is slaughtered. So, if the animal is already dead, it's like roadkill, in a way, I think is what he's getting at. But you want to make sure that you're eating good meat that is halal as much as you can. You don't want to be having something that was bludgeoned and tortured to death. That's not good. There's better ways, better farmers. There's another ayah here for us that he has. They, Jews and Christians, took their rabbis and monks to be their lords besides Allah, by obeying them in things which they made lawful or unlawful, according to their own desires, without being ordered by Allah. And they also took as Lord Messiah, the son of Maryam, Mary, while they, the Jews and Christians, were commanded in the Torah and the Injil Gospel to worship none but one ilah, God, Allah. La ilaha illa huwa. None has the right to be worshipped but He. Praise and glory be to Him. Far above is He from having the partners they associate with Him. Quran 9:31. So again, we see here something very valuable in terms of who do we take our authority from? It's from Allah. So we respect our scholars, no doubt. Dr. Saleh Fawzan is a scholar. But you never know if one becomes slowly corrupt or makes a mistake. We always have to try to fact check it with the Hadith and with the Quran, and to see, is this person made an error? Because everyone makes mistakes. But we should be careful not to just blindly believe things. It's very important. And when it talks about here to be their lords besides Allah, I know it's talking about their edicts and what they rule, but some people go really strange with their religious folk. They really start to get kind of culty, and they start to, become obsessed and hate everyone else besides that one person. If you notice how some of the Hindus do with their gurus, you'll see some strange behavior, and we have to be very mindful that we don't turn into the Buddhists or the Hindus in terms of how they can go very far with their cult leaders. When Adi bin Hatim, may Allah be pleased with him, heard this verse, he said, O Messenger of Allah, peace be upon you, we never used to worship them. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, were they not making lawful things which Allah had made unlawful? And you accepted them as lawful, and making unlawful things which Allah had made lawful, accept them as unlawful? He, Adi, said, certainly. He, peace be upon him, said, that is how you worship them. Okay, that was reported by Tirmidhi. So, a while back, but also recently as well, I found it so helpful when worship was explained more in the Islamic way. Because sometimes, especially from an American perspective, when we think of worship, we think of just bowing down. Okay. And clearly, we can see that in the Islamic understanding, worship is more than just that. You can put your hope in something. You can put your trust in something, someone, a relic, a stupid keychain with an evil eye on it or whatever, that palm thing. You can do all kinds of stuff that's quite ridiculous. I just recently posted on the community tab some people who literally think that marrying a crocodile in a weird, strange pagan ritual will affect the weather in 2023. So if some people will like, oh yeah, there's one God in there, but we have these little things, these little anthropomorphic or animal worship, tree worship, you name it, mountains specifically, some people actually think certain mountains have a spirit, then you can see how if you buy into that and you're associating partners in Allah's authority, it does become a form of worship. And so the whole point here that he's talking about laws, you keep seeing the theme here. that if you don't have evidence from the Quran and Sunnah to make a ruling or to make a judgment about something being halal, haram, Allah, you are making a lie against Allah. And if a person blindly just accepts something, you're worshiping that scholar, sort of how the Jews did with the rabbis, the Christians with their monks and whatnot. So we have to use discernment as well. You cannot just be blindly obedient or shake shop, as they call it. You have to be very mindful. And so watch out for what's lawful and what's haram. It can get quite exhausting when all you hear is haram, haram, haram. And sometimes I feel you have to be like, is this haram? And then I think you have to really investigate. Really investigate. When something's halal, we should be the same. Like, this is allowed? Or is this allowed? But what are the perimeters? What are the conditions? When something is just black and white, and that person's giving me no evidence, but I just have to trust them based on their position, that's where I think you can get into this rabbi territory. Where we pause and we're like, we respect you, we honor your position, but if we all stop questioning you and fact checking you and only taking what you say as, the law, we're hearing and obeying to the degree that maybe it is a form of shirk. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I hope I'm wording that as respectfully as possible. But to question someone, to fact check someone, is to do good. It's to seek truth. And we have to seek truth. It's not insulting them, it's just making sure that they're okay and we're okay. Because we'll be held accountable for what we do. And if we did our best and we were led astray by a scholar who made a mistake, intentionally or unintentionally or whatever, then we have to make sure we look at it up. Because sadly, once you start studying Christianity and then you see what some of these modern preachers preach, you're like, you're totally lying. Like, I could get into it, but it's fascinating when you actually look at the text and you start becoming more versed in theology and you start on your path and your journey. You begin to discover how some people are actually making things up. And that is so important, because this reminds us that if you don't have the evidence and you're just saying what's unlawful, what's lawful, and you're not fearing Allah, you should know that you're creating a lie against the law. You'll be held accountable for that. And that ain't no joke. Ain't no joke. Let me know what you think. It's a very interesting, serious topic. By the way, I posted new blog posts, and if you'd like to read them, go ahead and join the blog. It's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive, and it also supports the channel. So see you there.